Ask-Amy. I have a question today from Sasha. Before I get into today's question, I'll mention that the Little School of Big Change opens today. So this is the course that's taught very infrequently, probably just once a year moving forward. So today is when the lessons open up and the forum opens and our calls begin next week, and you can register through Thursday this week. And it's an incredible 6-week course. I'll do a short live here tomorrow answering any questions about it and just talking about it a little bit. It's been running for 6 or 7 years now. I think 6.5 years. And it's an amazing course, particularly around for people looking to be free of habits and anxiety, but really for anything. It just points in a very deep direction at the nature of our experience and really just invites you to look at the nature of your experience. And when we look in that really deep way at what even is a habit, this thing we call a habit, what even is this thing we call anxiety or depression or a thought or a feeling or a me, like what is this stuff? When we look in that way, everything starts to blow open and just completely change. So if that's of interest to you, I hope you'll join us. It's so fun and so much happens community wise and just for individuals through the 6 weeks that we're together. Okay. So meet me here tomorrow afternoon. I think it's 3:00 Eastern time. I'm just going to do a quick live. If there are questions, you can bring your questions. And either way, I'll speak to some of the questions that we've gotten over the last 6-7 years of running the course. So Sasha's question is, she says, I have a question about feeling like we're responsible for other people's feelings. Are we ever responsible for other people's feelings? Is what we do or don't do ever responsible for how other people feel? So nice short and to the point question, Sasha. And such a great question because it's one of those things that just... we get tangled up in some thinking around it, and it looks so different than from how it really is, I think. So the real question here is what is our role in how other people feel? Like, do we even have a role in how other people feel? And if so, what is it? And so that almost backs us up into another question of, where do our reactions and feelings and thoughts come from? Do they come from what someone else says or does? Do they come from somewhere else? Is it a mystery? I think it's totally a mystery. It's all a mystery. But to look at this, like, is it true, if we start with this assumption that I think most people have out in the world, like, is it true that I can hurt your feelings or I can boost your feelings? And if so, how? That's the big question for me. Like, how would that even work? So what happens, I think, is our thinking mind is just obsessed with control. It's obsessed with knowing things, thinking that it knows things. What it really knows is a whole other conversation. I would say not much, but believing that it knows things, gathering information, drawing causal models, so cause and effect. He said this, I felt this way. She did that, I felt that way. It's constantly looking out. The mind can't turn around and look within. It's always out at the world out there. And the world, by the way, feels like it's out there because the mind is like, I'm a me and I'm separate from the world. There's a world. I'm a me right here. There's a world out there. So it's always out. It cannot possibly be really intimate. As soon as a thought happens, we're already away from our true essence, which is, I don't know how to say it, but it's before thought, right? It's this awareness, this space before, within and before thought. So as soon as a thought, which is kind of just another object in consciousness, as soon as that arises, as soon as the mind starts, it's already out there a little bit. And by out there, it's in concepts and ideas. It just works in more and more thought. Thought begets thought, blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. And now you're in a web of thought. So But the mind, the way it kind of works is it's all about you and you're special and your survival. And don't worry, we're going to know what's happening and know what they think and know how you feel and know the kind of person you are and know what's coming, all to give us this sense of safety and security. This is what the mind does. So it's always looking for cause and effect. So of course, we feel something. If we just break this down a little bit, we feel something, good, bad, otherwise, instantly the mind jumps in and tries to find a cause for that because it either wants to avoid it in the future or get more of it in the future, which is another mind idea. There is no future, only in thought. So say you feel upset. Anyone feels upset. We have a feeling that we don't like, that our mind is what likes it or not likes it, right? So the mind says, ooh, don't like this feeling. What caused it? Oh, it's what he said or what she did or the weather or the thing that happened at work or whatever. Always looking out. So this is constantly happening our entire lives from the age of 3 or so up probably. And we get so identified with that and so kind of lost in that it starts to look completely obvious that when someone cuts you off in traffic or compliments you or criticizes you, that makes you feel some way. And everyone's walking around as if that's the truth. But again, when we really look at this, when we look at it outside of this thought-created, mind-created, dreamlike model of life, and we look a little closer, I mean, my questions are always like, how would that even work? And if it works, like, how would it work if I tell you I don't like your shirt and you feel bad about that? How did these words, which are just sounds put together, like how did that produce a feeling in you? Just think about that for a second. How would that even work? And if me saying, I don't like your shirt produces a feeling in you, why does it vary so much? Why could you be in a super bad mood from that statement one day and the next day roll your eyes and walk away? And that's how it goes. And I could say that to 50 people and there's going to be 50 different reactions. And those same 50 people, I could say it to them tomorrow and there'll be 50 different reactions. So the whole cause and effect thing that the mind creates breaks down really quickly when we just take a look. And this is true. We're talking about creating other people's feelings or not, but this is true across the board in anything that we perceive, right? I have anxiety. I have a habit. I'm depressed. I'm afraid. Back that up, rewind it a little bit, and actually look, what are we even talking about? What is afraid? What is that? What is depression? What is it? So anyway, we could look at this and especially these cause and effect models and all of that really start to break down when we take a look. So ultimately, Sasha, I can't see, and all that matters is you look for yourself. I can't see how we could possibly be responsible for someone's feelings, because I've said many, many very kind things to people, trying to cheer them up and make them like me, and it hasn't done that. And I've said very many unkind things to people, and sometimes it appears to destroy them for a period of time, and other times they just roll their eyes and tell me I'm mean. I don't see how that can possibly be the case. Now, I think we're afraid, we just in general, sometimes afraid to have this conversation, because the thing I always hear on the other side of this is something about accountability. We're afraid that if it's seen that I can't make you feel any way, and what you do or say can't make anyone else feel any other way, people's minds jump to, oh my God, it's going to be anarchy. It's going to be chaos, and everyone's going to be mean, and no one's going to be held accountable, and all of these scary stories arise, right? But those stories are rooted in an assumption, I guess, that we're mean by nature, and that our thinking that my words cause your feelings are the only check. They like keep things in check somehow. That if I can hurt you, I'll be really good and I won't hurt you. But if I can't hurt you, then I'll be a total jerk everywhere. It just doesn't work that way. And in fact, it tends to be quite the opposite as we keep really looking at the nature of experience more and more closely. We keep seeing, again, not only do I not know what anxiety is, or I not know what depression is, or a habit is, or a thought or a feeling is, I don't know what I am. And I don't know what you are. And I don't know where that starts and ends. And again, this is beyond this short video, but when we really start looking, we kind of can't find all these boundaries and you and me and I did this and you caused that. All of that begins to break down. And when it's kind of seen like, hey, I don't even know that there are other people, and that sounds a little crazy as I say it in this quick context, but it's like, I don't even know, like all my concepts, all of this separation starts to fade and get a little fuzzier and get a little more mysterious. We don't get meaner. There's nothing to defend. There's nothing to cling to. There's nothing to attach to. There's no solid me that needs to be better or protected or anything. And when that's the case, people don't get meaner. The complete opposite, if anything. So I just say that because, again, always the argument is always about accountability and what would it mean, and everyone's going to just be a jerk. And I'd really just look at that too. That's another thing, like a cause and effect model that makes a lot of sense to a mind. It makes a mind very comfortable because now it has a model for how life works. But look yourself and see if that's really the case. So that's a long answer to your simple question, simple but not easy question, Sasha, about whether we're responsible for others' feelings. I mean, I can't see how we are, and there's a lot of ways to look at that, but you look for yourself. And again, notice what the mind says about what that might mean, because that's a lot of the fear and a lot of the resistance and kind of wanting to cling to an idea of me and a cause and effect and a you that keeps us kind of bound up in that. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks for sending your question. Send your questions, anyone, to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. And I hope to see you in the Little School of Big Change starting this week. Bye, everyone.